Teşekkürler.
And they are the Golden Girls.
Women's football is a new giant. More and more fans are turning in. In fact, over 87,000 spectators showed up to watch England defeat Germany in the Euro 2022 final. These players are now turning into household names.
Barcelona's Aitana Bonmatí won the Ballon d'Or for a second consecutive year in the women's category. The 26-year-old midfielder had a very successful season, winning the Domestic League and the Champions League with Barcelona and the Nations League with Spain.
As more young girls dream of becoming professionals. And in Turkey, the Galatasaray women's football team made history, despite being just a couple years old. Formed in 2021, after playing just 3 seasons, Galatasaray became the first ever Turkish team to compete in the new format of the Women's Champions League. And this success was no easy feat. It came after a person who had been working for the club for over 10 years took charge. Metin Ülgen became the team's head coach in 2022. At first, he was hesitant to take on this new challenge.
When I first met the girls, I told them I watched all the matches I could find once I was made the head coach. I took notes of where women's football was at in Turkey and analyzed our differences from our peers in Europe. I then said that we would be changing our game plan and planning our matches just as the men's teams do. And we will be conscious of how we play, which is why our play made such a difference in such a short amount of time.
Gala's Lionesses under Ülgen finished their first season third, and in the 2022-23 season, they were at the top of Turkish women's football. 55,000 people cheered them on as they celebrated their first league championship, along with the men's team celebrating their 24th title.
Birçok kulüpte şampiyonluk yaşadım ama
I've celebrated championships with other clubs before, but I never experienced it like this, in a club that gives the women just as much attention as the men. It was an unforgettable experience for us and our families.
That sentiment is shared across the team. Members say the club's support means the world.
Galatasaray means home to me. We all rush here from our apartments, spending time here, achieving success. Galatasaray means everything.
That victory took them to the semi-finals of the first qualifying round of the Champions League, where they defeated the Racing Union and Kazakh side Shymkent. And in the second qualifying round, Galatasaray beat Slavia Prague to make Turkish history.
Sparta Prag maçında kart cezalısıydım.
I wasn't able to play in the last match because I had a yellow card suspension, so I was in the stands cheering my team on. When you're on the pitch, you can tolerate the stress and excitement, but it's harder to do that on the stands. It was an incredible battle for us. I was very proud of my teammates. We as a team knew what we wanted and we reflected that on the pitch.
Galatasaray were then handed a quite tough draw. They were in Group A, along with 8-time champs Lyon, 2-time title winners Wolfsburg, and Italian giants Roma. And it was an unpleasant start.
Playing against the best has probably given them a sort of a litmus test of where they need to be in order to compete at Champions League level. But I mean, it's seeming that it's in such its infancy, the club. You look at only being a few years old. What can they go on to achieve? I think really the potential is endless. They could go on and really get deep into a Women's Champions League competition in the next few years.
Babies can't run right after being born. They crawl first. This is us crawling. This is our time to learn about the competition and our opponents. We realized that we needed to focus on gaining experience, not simply winning points.
And Gala came on the pitch for their last 2 matches with that mindset. The preparations for a Champions League match begins in the same place as any other match, here at the Galatasaray training grounds in Florya, Istanbul. The women's team have access to the same facilities as the men's as they train to take on European giants. The clash against Lyon was another difficult one. Galatasaray lost against a team housing football legends like Ballon d'Or winner Ada Hegerberg, 8-time Champions League winner Wendy Renard, and 2023-24 Champions League top scorer Kadidiyatu Diani. It was getting difficult to keep the morale up after devastating losses, but those cheering for Gala know it's all a part of the experience.
Our fans come to every match, and they don't make us feel alone. We feel that support always.
And Necla Güngör, who was the head coach of the Turkish national team, says the women's game is a work in progress.
Look at where the competitors are based in the Champions League. Italy, France, England. Women's football has been played at a professional level in those countries for years. Galatasaray is a fairly new team. These results are very normal. Of course, the fans are looking for better results, but they need to remember that this is a step-by-step process. They've opened a very important door for now.
Women's football being played at this level is relatively new in Turkey. Formed in the late 90s, the national women's football team didn't make a name for themselves for a long while. But in the last 5 years, the federation took on the task of improving the results, building today's exceptional team, which has now made history. After getting promoted to UEFA Nations League Group B, Necla Güngör students played in the playoffs for Euro 2025.
Making it this far was a big success in Turkish women's football history. Now, as we get these results, more young girls want to turn to football. And seeing Galatasaray play at the giant arena that is the Champions League, it's really inspirational to players in our league and in our national team.
The last match at the tournament for Galatasaray was an away game. The players gathered up their strength to go one last time after a busy fixture year.
These two are my motivations on the pitch. I call them before every match. Pure motivation.
Destination: Rome. They arrived in an Italian capital undergoing construction for the Jubilee celebrations next year. Just like Galatasaray, it is a work in progress and still appreciated. And for their battle in Rome, they have a player who was all too familiar with Roma. Galatasaray's forward Andrea Stashkova spent 4 seasons in the Italian league, playing for Juventus and AC Milan.
Environment, how do you say? Is it correct? Yes, okay, good. It's different, I think here they understand more how our feelings in Galatasaray, how we feel. That for us it's very important for the players, because if you are tired you can say it and you are not scared that they will talk about you some bad things, not like in other clubs where I played.
Her transfer to Galatasaray may inspire others to follow in her footsteps.
Now that Galatasaray have competed this season, there will be more players that will be looking at the club to potentially join in the future, because they're aware of the style of play, and they're also seeing that as a ticket to being able to try and play in the Champions League. Those level of players that aren't going to naturally walk into a Lyon or into a Real Madrid or a Barcelona side, they're looking for other avenues. And I think Galatasaray have certainly put themselves on the map to say, we're here, we've got the investment now, we've got the facilities, and we're starting to have a European journey. Come and join us.
At this point, Andrea alone was not enough to bring Gala a good result against Roma. An early goal by Alicia Corelli, won by 17-year-old Rosanna Ventriglia, and a stoppage time goal by Elena Linare gave Roma a 3-0 victory. And that wraps up a historic season for Galatasaray here at the Champions League. Surely not the results they would have wanted, but still haven't gained that experience. Now they look towards the future, hoping to become a more frequent competitor at competitions like this.
Bizim tabii Şampiyonlar Ligi'nde takımımın ilk senesi.
We were happy to play here and gain that experience. We were able to see the gap between the European teams and us. As you may have noticed, during the last couple of matches, we were tired and we had a lot of injuries. It's been difficult to compete both here and in our domestic league. As you probably saw, the goals we concede tend to come in the last minutes because my players are just tired. I've said this before, maybe we won't win by winning games, but we'll win through gaining experience.
You learn how to get better at the Champions League by playing here. You need to keep playing here and improve here. I'm sure the Galatasaray head coach can see how to improve.
So now, Galatasaray look to keep coming back, aiming to better their performance. Or to work so they can pass on a fiery lit torch to the younger generations.
I've been inside women's football for nearly 20 years. I am doing my best work for the generations to come after me, as the previous generations worked hard for me. I know that the better we do, the more chances the young girls after us will get.
I like the competition with the boys because I always heard like that girls cannot play and like this. So it put me like lots of to myself like to improve them, that I'm better than them.
I went through difficult times when I first started in football, but I never gave up on my passion for football. I want to show young girls they should never give up either.
With more resources and years to come, experts don't doubt that Galatasaray can become successful.
I've seen real promise in this Galatasaray team now because they are attracting the best players from across Turkey and beyond. So if you look at that region, if they can continue to attract the best players, I think they will be ones to look out for in the future, perhaps a bit of an underdog.
The journey to lasting success is long, but that trek is one that Galatasaray are happy to take on. And with them as the pioneers for women's football, the future is looking brighter than ever for Turkey. Selin Tutar, TRT World, İstanbul.